Yo, 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 geeks are back in business. All right, we are here to give you the breakdown for UFC Fight Night, Cara France v. Albazi. I'm rocking the headband Karate Combat. Since the last video, we did hit Karate Combat 39. Fantastic event. Now we got the Heat heading to the finals. It's big times here in South Florida. Panthers as well. Dana, what do you got before we jump into the card?
South Florida's popping right now. I know Karate Combat's going back to Miami early June. That's always exciting. Good events that they put on, and loving the Heat game. We actually got a Heat game the night we are recording this, so super pumped.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right. Jumping into the UFC side of things, what you're here for. We got 13 fights. We're going to break them down brief for you. All right. No secret. This isn't the biggest card the UFC has been putting out, but a few sleepers on there nonetheless. You know, that main event is going to be fantastic. I'm excited to see Alex Caceres, Tim Elliott with all his drama, and then Jamie Malarkey's always fun as well. So let's jump into it. First fight, we got Maxim Grishin versus Felipe Lins. And I think I'm going to go Lins off rip here. I know they're pretty close. I just think in what is almost guaranteed to be a decision in this fight, I think that Lins is going to work a little harder and just be a little bit more active for your value there, because on the feet he does like to walk forward, throw punches and bunches. He does have a power advantage. I would say Grishin does have the striking advantage as a whole, but Lins does have that grappling in his back pocket. He's pretty good at getting control time. And what is going to be a close fight, I'm going to pick a guy who has more paths to victory. So Felipe Lins is going to be the pick for me. Dano, what do you got?
I'm taking Felipe Lins too. So for me, I know both these guys are kind of up there in age. We got Lins at 37, Grisham at 39, but it just seems like Lins is like the way more younger guy. He came out against OSP last time and ran through him, smoked him in under a round, and then we got Grisham, who's just kind of took William Knight to a decision, which is not bad. It's kind of looks tough to put William Knight away. But good win there. It would have been tough if he lost to William Knight, especially how William Knight's been looking in the past. But it just feels like Linz is the more explosive guy. It looks like he's got more pop in his strikes, and they're both really big dudes. So I don't imagine like one takedown will just stall out a round. I think if Grisham wants to take down Linz, Linz will be able to get back up or even stuff a couple takedowns, keep it on the feet. So I'm riding with Linz for sure.
Yeah, so both of us are on Lins, and we are on to the next bout. It's going to be Luan Lacerda versus Damon Blackshear. And I got to tell you, Vegas open Lacerda as an underdog. The Sharks hit it hard. He is a pretty decent favorite at this point. I think he's about minus 150-ish. Damon Blackshear, I definitely think that he has a chance in this fight, but from what I've seen of Luan Lacerda, very good fight last time against Cody Stamen. Didn't get the win, but short notice debut. I mean, he put on a pretty good show. I think on the feet he plays it safe. He hides behind the kicks a little bit. He doesn't really let it turn into a dogfight, which is what Blackshear really wants. And then part of that, pushing the pace, making it a dogfight for Blackshear. He's probably going to have to work in some takedowns. I think Lacerda will show a big gap in the grappling department against Blackshear. He tends to get tangled up a little bit, and I could definitely see Lacerda snatching a sub here. On the feet, Blackshear slight edge, but then again, with the right game plan, I can see Lacerda winning a stand-up decision in this. He does have some pretty good skills. He's pretty shifty on the feet, so Lacerda is going to be the pick for me.
I'm taking Blackshear in this one. I think both these guys have been thrown into the fire. They both had pretty, you know, thrown to the wolves as debuts. They're both pretty young, and I just think this will be a dogfight, but I am going to ride with Blackshear. I liked him in his last fight against one of the Basharat brothers. Took it to a draw. That's pretty impressive. Like you were saying, Lacerda looked good against Stamen. Stamen's no joke himself, but I just think that Blackshear's got a little bit of a height advantage. Let me see, a little bit of a reach advantage. I don't know how that'll play into it all, but I just feel like Blackshear will come out on top in this one.
We're split where you're gonna have to see the sheet to see what the geeks end up going with as the pick there. But we are on to the next. We got Jin Yu Frey versus Elise Reed. I'm gonna take Elise Reed. I feel pretty comfortable here. She's actually my fighter of the week. We've done an interview with her in the past. Go check that out. Very good interview. It was for her UFC Australia fight. But bias aside here, I do think that Elise Reed gets it done. I see her improving fight after fight here, even though it's not always the outcome she was looking for. Like the last time, she fought a very good opponent in Loma Lukbunmi. She won the first round, got caught with a sub in the second. I don't think that Jinyu Frey is going to be as dangerous. And then she's kind of hit a plateau. She's at the back end of her career. And I just think that it's Elise Reed's time to shine. I'm going to pick Reed by decision. What do you got, Dano?
I'm with you. I think Reed wins this one, and I think she wins it pretty handily. We got like an 8-year age gap between the two, and when you watch Elise Reed fight, she's always going pushing pedal to the metal. She's always really incorporating the grappling game plan, which really will favor her in this fight. If she can get Jinyu Frey off her feet, on her back. Um, Adverse of what I was saying in the Felipe Lins Grisham fight, where I thought, if Grisham takes down Lins, I don't think that'll be the end of the round because Lins will be able to get back up. It would have to be multiple takedowns, accumulating time on the ground. But I think in this one, if Reed can just get her to the ground once or twice, she can really kill a round, kill 2 rounds, get a lot of control time going on. And I think that will happen because in most of her fights, she does like to push girls up against the cages, get those takedowns, and just kind of, not stall necessarily, but just really, maintain control. So I'm gonna ride with Elise Reed as well.
That's 2 votes Reed, zero votes Frey. We're going with Reed. On to the next. We got Daniel Santos, a shoot to box prodigy, and Johnny Munoz Jr., always dangerous in the grappling department. I will say in this one, I think the grappling is kind of going to cancel out. I see Santos having the much more advanced stand up here, and the gas tanks kind of cancel out. So I could definitely see Munoz snatching a sub because he is slick on the mat, but Santos via TKO is the most likely outcome for me. I would say the under is a good play here, but I think Santos is going to get it done. He's going to get those knees going in the clinch. I could see him folding over Johnny Munoz Jr. here and then getting the TKO victory. So that's what I'm going to go with. Probably round 2 after a back and forth round 1. I think Santos gets it done in 2. Dano, what's your play?
I'm on Daniel Santos in this one too, and if you look at his record, it's kind of like you would imagine it's tough to pick him because he's had a bad streak in the UFC, but those fights have been pretty good. He's had some good performances, but not great outcomes. But like you were saying, Santos, he does pack a punch, he does deliver some punches, but he does get hit and he does get dropped sometimes. But I don't know if Johnny Munoz will pose too much of a threat in any specific area. Yes, he's good on the feet. Yes, he's good on the ground, but I feel like Santos will be able to just hold his own. As I was saying, he hasn't had a good streak in the UFC, so he's going to be a little weary, a little cautious, and he's not going to be as wild in his last fights, which I think will definitely play to his advantage. He is very skilled, and if he can just, it's dumb to say, but if he can just not get knocked out, he'll be fine. I think he'll win this one.
All righty. So Santos is the pick. And we are on to the next. We got a heavyweight scrap. We got Andrei Arlovsky versus Don'Tale Mayes. The age always worries me for Andrei Arlovsky. I know if there's a division that you can get away with being a little older, it is going to be the heavyweight division, possibly even the light heavyweight division. But I think against the guy as athletic and powerful as Don'Tale Mayes, him being in a stand-up fight with Andrei Arlovsky at this point in his career, I think there's a good chance he finds the button. Not the best showing for Mays his last time out, but I think Sakai did a really good game plan. You saw him clinching, constantly trying to get takedowns that whole fight because he does know the power that Mays has. I don't think that Arlovsky has that same grappling bag in his tool set. And I think that it's going to be him standing in front of Don'Tale Mays and really having to dance on him at the ripe young age of 43 years old. So I think that Don'Tale Mays finds the button, gets the finish. Dano, what do you got?
I'm riding with the old man Andrei Arlovsky, and I think, my breakdown for this one's pretty simple, and I just think Dontel Mays is no bueno. I don't think he's really good in any category. And we know Arlovsky's going to show up. He's going to be there. He's been around for years and years and years. We know what we're going to get from him. He might not have the most pop. He might not have the best takedowns, but we know that his movement um, will open some holes, especially in the later rounds when Dontel Mays has proven time and time and again that he does gas. This kind of brings back a little shades of like Francis versus Stipe, the first fight when we got a very smaller opponent in Arlovsky, like weight wise. Because Dontel Mays is a big dude. He's going to be up there at the limit, and Arlovsky's probably going to be at like 230, 240, maybe 250. And he's just going to be able to be a lot quicker than Mays, to where when Mays strikes, Mays kicks, or even if Mays wants to engage, I feel like Arlovsky's not going to be there. Later rounds will come. Arlovsky will take over with the conditioning. So give me Arlovsky.
We got the split on that one, fellas. Stay tuned to the sheet. On to the next. We are on to John Castaneda versus Muin Gafarov. And I'm gonna go with the sexy Mexi. I got a little phrase, go with what you know. I know that John Castaneda is gonna show up and be ready to cause mayhem in there because few push a pace as well as John Castaneda. And he's very tough SOB as well. I think that the striking is decent, the wrestling is very good, and it helps him to hold his own in the grappling exchanges. Muin, on the other hand, I mean, he's fighting out of the like Middle Eastern Asia circuit. That's always a little worrying. You definitely see these guys with padded records coming out of there more often than not. He looks a little bit on the chunkier side. You see that he's getting some finishes, a lot of knockouts. I think it's going to be hard for him to knock John Castaneda out, especially on short notice. And I'll probably go with the late finish for Castaneda here. I think he gets the TKO. Say round 3, but I wouldn't be surprised late round 2. Dana, what do you got?
I love the Castaneda inside the distance line in this one. Like you were saying, this dude's debuting. Don't know too much about him, and he's going up against a pretty damn tough guy in Castaneda, who I think is a terrible debut for guys because usually in debuts you want to you want to prove yourself, you want to make a point. You're not going to wrestle as much, in my mind, as maybe you'd like to. And going up against a dude like Castaneda, who is proven to be durable as all hell and can deliver back on the feet, I think this will be a tough matchup for his opponent. I do like Castaneda pretty much everywhere. Maybe not if this turns into a heavy grappling fight. That would really make me worried, but I think this one's going to stay on the feet. And for that, I'm going to ride with Castaneda.
All right, all right. And we are on to the main event of the prelims. We got Abubakar Nurmagomedov versus Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. And I am going to go with Abubakar here. He is probably going to grapple his way to a decision. All right. I think if there's a finish in this one, it will be on the Zaleski side, possibly getting a KO here. But I think Abubakar is going to push the pace, use that Khabib Dagestan Sambo grappling, and really be a wet blanket. I think he'll get the ground and pound going a little bit, but then with a guy as dangerous as Zaleski on the ground in the jiu-jitsu department, you don't really want to open up. So Abubakar via decision is going to be the pick for me. Dano, let's hear it.
I like it. Good call. I think Abubakar is gonna make this one boring. I think he's gonna do the Elise Reed approach where I get a couple takedowns and we're gonna kill a round out. We're gonna get a lot of control time. He's not terrible on the feet, but I just feel like, especially in this fight, this is not where he's gonna want to be. Um, So for that, I think decision's really not a bad pick. Both guys are pretty durable. Both guys don't have too many losses on the record, and they're both pretty old, which means that they know how to fend for themselves in there. They know how to survive, and I think that this will be another case of that where it goes to decision, and I'm gonna ride with the Nurmagomedov.
We're in the lab. We're getting similar visions. Abubakar via decision. That's going to be the pick for us. We're on to the main card. We're going to roll through this as well. Starting off, Jamie Malarkey versus Muhammad John Naimov. I think that's right. I'm going to go with Jamie Malarkey. All right. His opponent stepping in on short notice. He was preparing for Guram Kutateladze, who pulled out last week. We get the replacement here. I think, as we said in his last fight, actually, it's going to be very hard to beat Jamie Malarkey on short notice. To be not a regular training camp because he does have so many things that he can throw at you. He's very good on the feet. He can hold his own in the grappling, offensive, defensive. He just does a very good job. He pushes a hard pace, and he's a guy that you really have to be prepared for. I think if you're going to go in and beat him, he's lost to some of the top level competition, and Malarkey is going to be the pick. I don't know much about Naimov in this one. Decent record. He's got a couple losses in 10 fights. And this feels like Jamie Malarkey should keep rolling. Let's go Malarkey late finish round 2. Dano, what do you got?
I love Malarkey in this one. I'm really hoping that his line doesn't get too inflated because we did see him as a pretty sizable dog against Garam, which I think was right because I feel like Garam would have kind of not ran through him, but I think he would have beat him pretty handily. Whereas he falls out, we get a new opponent in here who is debuting. And like you were saying, it's a tough debut against Jamie Malarkey, someone who, let's say Jamie Malarkey is a total striker and you plan for a striker, you're debuting, boom, you get this Jamie Malarkey guy. Even though you're ready for a striker, Jamie Malarkey's style is just so weird. It'd be different than what you were planning for. And especially someone like Malarkey who has a lot of tools in his belt. He will have that weird stand-up game, and then all of a sudden he's getting a takedown. And you're just in real bad situations. So I feel like whatever what's his name? Muhammad Naimov, whatever he's planning for, I feel like he's going to get a different look than what he has planned for. So I can't bet on that. I can't waste a pick on that. I'm going to go with someone who has been fighting some dudes. He's been fighting some dudes and been having pretty good fights. He does have, 5 losses, not the best. Um, Definitely not like top ranked guy, but for a unranked lightweight, Jamie Larkey's no joke, and I think he will prove that once again this weekend.
Yeah, the pick is going to be Malarkey. On to the next. We got a women's bout. Uh, it's going to be in the flyweight division. We got Karine Silva versus Ketlin Souza. Souza making her UFC debut. That's always tough, especially against a girl with experience and who has been putting on quite a show recently in Karine Silva. I think that Silva gets it done via submission here. Souza making a big step up in competition, and stylistically, I just think that she gasses out over time. She's good early, but someone like Silva is really going to be able to hold their own, get the grappling going in the later rounds, and I think find a submission here. So Silva's going to be the pick. I feel pretty confident about that. Dano, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think the easy pick here is Silva. Just because we don't know too much about Ketlin Souza, but we do know some about Karine Silva. She's riding a lot of momentum, and in the women's division, that means something. And she's getting finishes, which you love to see that. And she's not just sprinkling in finishes; she's getting finishes regularly early on too, which just sweetens the pot even more.
Yep. So Silva, both feeling pretty good about that one. On to a male flyweight bout. We got Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano. This fight is going to be fun, okay? Because technically, neither guy's great, but they have just a heart of a lion, and they're going to go in there and duke it out for 15 minutes, give it all they got. I'm going to give that to Tim Elliott. I think he's fighting for a little more. I think that he's just a little bit more technical. He's been there, done that. He's fought the who's who. He's lost. He's won. And I just think stylistically, this matchup and what is actually very similar, probably the most similar they've been to each other's just weird styles going into this one. I think Tim Elliott plays that game a little bit better. He thrives in the chaos. Whereas we've seen Victor Altamirano start to gas out pretty bad over the later rounds, his last fight, maybe even last two fights. And I just think Tim Elliott's fighting for a little more, especially with all that drama with his friends betraying him, his wife betraying him. We're gonna go with Tim Elliott, win one for the fellas here. Dano, give it to us.
Yeah, I'm with Tim Elliott too. Like you're saying, he's definitely fighting with the extra chip on his shoulder. But you look at Altamirano, and I just do not know how he's 12-2. I feel like he is not that good. He's got a lot of holes on the feet. But Tim Elliott might not be that guy to where he can clip someone with a lot of holes, or he can catch someone with a lot of holes. Maybe he's just as wild as Victor Altamirano. But from what I saw in his last fight against Vinicius Salvador, I was surprised that he won that decision. Talking about Altamirano here, I don't think it was a robbery, but I definitely was surprised, just because he really didn't look good in his style. Maybe not his style, but his technique, just especially on the feet. Just I don't know. You guys have to see it this weekend. It's for someone who's 12-2, especially in the flyweight division, you would expect a little bit better in Altamirano. Like Goose was saying, he does have a heart of a lion. Same with Tim Elliott, but I feel like Tim Elliott's just gonna throw a little more gas on the fire for this one. So give me Elliott.
Yeah, no, I think him being 12-2 is definitely a testament to that will and just dog in him because nothing jumps out at you talent wise. He just goes in there and he's been getting it done of late. I do think that Tim Elliott's style and experience will prove to be a little much for him. But all right, we are on to the co-main, one of the fights that I'm most looking forward to here. Always fun to see Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, such a great dude. Geeks have ran a few interviews with him. Go back and watch it. Now, time for the pick. Bias aside, I do think that Alex Caceres gets it done. Stylistically, very hard to finish. Daniel Pineda only wins by finish. I think over his career, that's actually a true stat. Yeah, he's got 28 wins, 19 submission, 9 knockouts. So 0 decisions. Bruce Leroy's slick in there. He's tough to finish. He's tough to hit clean. And even though he doesn't always go out and put a ton of damage on his opponents, he's hitting you with shots. He's getting his points. And as of late, he has been finding those shots and hitting the off switch on these guys. Juicy J, Julian Erosa got caught with a head kick his last time out. So we are seeing that evolution in Alex Caceres' game. Daniel Pineda, you know what you're going to get. All right. He's going to try and shoot a few takedowns, get that nasty grappling going. And if he can't do it, he's going to mix in those big overhands and some check hooks on the other end. I think Caceres is going to be well equipped to stop it, get his game plan going. Would not be surprised at all if he got a late finish here, but just a little goosey vision. I'm seeing Caceres' decision pretty comfortably here. So that's going to be the pick. I'm riding with Bruce Leroy. Dano, who do you got?
I'm riding with Bruce Leroy too, and we got an interview coming out with him. Pretty cool interview. Didn't talk too much MMA. Dude was on another planet when we were talking to him. And a question that I wanted to ask him about this upcoming fight that I didn't get to because we were ranting about some other off-topic thing was uh Alex Harris always talks about how he loves martial arts and he loves, getting in there and being in a flow and whatnot. Well, our last fight with Daniel Pineda, which was in Houston, I think. was one of those Texas cards. He was talking in the post-fight interview about how he could be done. He's ready to be done with the sport. But if the UFC gives him some good money or a good name, that'll bring him back to fight another one. Whereas he was ready to walk away after his last fight. So now I guess he's back. UFC must have thrown some money at him, or maybe he likes Caceres. But for someone like Caceres who loves martial arts and loves being in there and fighting and probably doesn't care too much about the money compared to someone who is already ready to walk away, already 1 foot out the door, and now he's back. It's tough for me to pick that guy because a lot of people always say in MMA, once 1 foot's out of the door, you might as well bring the other one with you because this is definitely not the sport to be half in, half out. I think Caceres will go in there, especially in the apex where Pineda cannot feed off the crowd or get that, adrenaline going. Someone who just is in love with the game and loves doing what he's doing, I think will come out on top and be successful in this one. And Caceres is one of those guys who, once he gets flowing, he's a very dangerous dude to go against. So give me Caceres. Who knows what it'll be? Both these guys don't really get finished much. But Caceres is a dog, so give me him.
Going to be a spectacle for sure. Probably, like I said, my most anticipated fighter this week would have to be Alex Caceres. But Daniel Pineda got that finishing ability too. Going to be a fun scrap. On to the main event. We got Kai Kara-France versus Amir Albazi. Going with Amir Albazi. Typically, I like to take the experience in these matchups, but Albazi, 16-1. He's had a lot of fights. He's been a little less active recently, but we see him getting better each time he shows up to the cage. I think like a guy in Kai Kara-France who, well, he has fought in 5-rounders before. We haven't seen him go past 3 really. In a true war, him and Brandon Moreno, that interim championship was the closest thing. And Moreno got him with a liver kick in that 3rd round. So I think that gas tank wise, that's still left to be seen. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Albazi's going stronger late into the rounds. I could see him definitely dropping round 1 here. But I think as the fight goes on, it probably even favors Albazi. He has the grappling advantage. Kai Kara-France is tough to get down, but you can at least threaten it, get some control time. It makes the stand up a little bit easier, which I do think they are close as well. Not super confident here, but Albazi, it does feel pretty good right now. So that's what I'm going to go with. I don't know the gas tank enough to predict a late decision or whatnot, but I don't really think that this one sees the bell here. I think one of them is going to get the finish, and I do think that Albazi is going to be that guy. So Dano, how are you seeing the main event?
I was on Kai Kara-France, but for some reason I'm kind of sliding over to Amir Albazi, and this is a weird one because I don't think we've had a flyweight main event, at least a fight night main event in like a year or a couple years.
I think
So
they were
this
saying
will,
since Figgy Moreno won that pay-per-view.
yeah. So this will be an interesting one. We'll see these guys, these flyweights, in a 5-rounder non-title fight. But when I think of it, I keep thinking of the Merab Peter Yan fight where we have a really good striker in Kai Kara-France for someone who, is known for the grappling. And Albazi hasn't really had the worst gas tank. He's been known that this is going to be 5 rounds. You got to be training your cardio. Same with Kai Kara-France, but I would imagine someone like Albazi who really incorporates grappling into his game, you got to be getting that cardio up. And we saw in that Merab fight, even though Merab shot like 100 takedown attempts, we saw Peter Yan's really striking levels go from up here to once those takedowns started happening, it just kept going down, down, down because Peter Yan was worried of the repetitive takedowns from Merab. So if like you were saying, Amir comes out, loses round 1, but maybe gets a takedown or 2, I could see that just slipping in the back of Kai Kara-France's mind. Again, I know I just talked about their cardio's got to be good, but we have seen Kai not have the best cardio. So if he does get taken down and those get in the back of his mind, and then he progressively gets more tired and tired and tired, that striking levels will come down round by round. And I would only imagine that opens the floodgates for Amir Albazi to just keep the pedal down and just keep going. So this is a tough prediction. I would say I would edge it to Amir. But Kai Kara-France is no joke, but I just think the takedowns will play a very big factor in this one. As we've seen Kai Kara-France not love being on the ground. So if Amir's gonna, have a game plan, I think the takedowns will be a part of that.
Yeah, so a little bit surprised, but we are going to be 2-0 on Amir Albazi. Definitely not the most anticipated week. It's been really flying under the radar, but some very technical scraps. I think that the main event will be very high level, as those 125ers. That's what separates them at the top. Everyone's in shape, everyone's ready to go at 125. There's no wiggle room. So to separate yourself from the pack, you just gotta be a dog and just take it to it. So that's gonna be that. Go Heat. All right, taking on the Nuggets. Gonna be a tough series, but I think playoff Jimmy has what it takes to get 4 more games in, and then go Panthers as well. That's it. We're out of here.